Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Leo here. Caden, how you doing today?
You know, it was a pretty good Monday, Max. How about you?
It was most definitely another solid Monday, Caden, and once again, it was another solid weekend of college football.
Yes,
So we're going to hop right into it, recapping what was a good week of college football for me, prediction-wise.
A little opposite for me, yeah. But starting off when we both got right, an absolute electric game to start the morning. The one morning slate game we talked about ended up being easily the best game of the entire morning slate in my eyes. Miami-Louisville. Miami ends up going into Louisville and wins the game 52-45.
Yeah, Caden, this was a shootout. It was everything we kind of mentioned and anticipated it thought it would be.
Yep.
We mentioned we weren't going to sleep on Louisville, and we felt they could go in and put up a close contest and really give Miami a run for their money, which they did. Ultimately, Cam Ward proved why he is one of the premier quarterbacks in this upcoming draft.
I mean, I don't know if I'd go that far. I'm not a big Cam Ward fan by any means. I think he's also a little old to be one of the premier quarterbacks. But looking at this game, yes, he played really well. Threw for about 300 yards, had the 4 tutties, no picks. Louisville, though, their offense was clicking for like the entire game.
Yeah.
Really, the deciding touchdown, they won by 7. The deciding touchdown was the fumble that was recovered in the end zone at the 1-yard line that happened late in the first half. If that doesn't happen, we don't know exactly what will happen the rest of that game.
It was a momentum
because Louisville
changer.
ended up getting that late touchdown to get it to 45. I mean, their quarterback played really well.
Yeah.
Looked great the whole game. One thing that concerns me now, especially that we've seen them a couple more weeks with this Miami team, is their defense. It seems like they're not able, besides that touchdown, which, that was a great play. You got it out. It was at the 1-yard line. But their defense has not been able to, especially against some of these teams who, Louisville's a great offense team, but against some of the other teams where you're not expecting them to put too many points, their defense does not look great. And that's one thing that kind of scares me with that moving forward into the latter half of the season.
Yeah, Caden, that is going to be something they're going to have to watch if they want to continue this unbeaten streak.
Yep.
Most definitely. But that was a solid game to kick off today.
It was. And even though they're undefeated, they didn't move in the rankings.
Nope.
Stayed at 6.
I think it's fine.
Yeah. Now, though, your big win, one of my losses, was Bama, Tennessee. Tennessee ends up taking a 24-17 victory. And I'll admit it here. I've been saying for most of the season, I thought Jalen Milroe was the best quarterback in college football. These last 3 weeks, the Vandy, South Carolina, and this week, he has not looked good.
And this has been the problem. The teams played good enough for them to win.
Yep.
He's been the reason, Cade.
Yeah.
Those turnovers, being careless,
are costing them the games.
The reason why they're losing.
Exactly.
And that's kind of part of the reason why I felt Tennessee was going to be. I told you they're going to be jacked up. They know it's Alabama. They're not going to underestimate them. And Tennessee did exactly what I expected them to do: come in, play physical, really, do to Bama what Bama is known to be doing to other people, and just frustrate them, confuse them defensively up front. And really limit Alabama's offense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Tennessee's D, I know they've been great earlier, but they played a lot better than I expected them to.
Yeah.
Their offense, stalled again in that first half. This is the 3rd straight week they hadn't scored a point in the first half. That's not something you want to see going forward for the Volunteers. But in that second half, Nico looked really good behind center. He was making the throws when needed. Ended up having that great throw into the back of the end zone for that goal.
That was
a beautiful throw, beautiful catch. And their defense was able to get to Milroe, force him to throw picks. They're able to get to him, force sacks and bad throws. Tennessee's defense is legit. They're not getting as much praise as they should compared to that offense.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We even mentioned it, right? We were like, we know Tennessee's offense is capable of keeping up, but would their defense step up? And they did. Solid win for Tennessee.
Yeah. They held Bama at only 17 points, which is amazing.
For sure.
Next, though, another game. Hey, we both got right. We were even right about, the money line. Michigan at Illinois. Illinois ends up winning 21-7. They cover the 4. They win the game. They cash my season win total in week 7.
Yes, they did.
A little 6-1 start for your Fighting Illinois.
Hey, this was exactly what we said it was going to be, Caden. The fact that Michigan didn't deserve to be ranked still. And we talked about how much we griped about Michigan, and I thought Illinois was going to come in and punch them in the face and surprise people. It wasn't a surprise to us.
No.
They did exactly what we thought we were going to do, Caden, and very impressive victory for them.
Yeah, for sure. It was a classic Big Ten football game.
Yep.
Michigan actually threw for not only 100 yards, they threw for 208 yards, but no passing touchdown. Luke Altmaier only threw for 80 passing yards. but they had close to 200 rushing yards as a team, which is what you don't see against that Michigan defense. What they've come to be is, that stout defense, especially against the run. And Illinois was able to run all over them throughout the entire game.
And Caden, there is nothing more demeaning as a football team than when your opponent runs over and over against you and you can't stop it. When you have no answer for the run game, players want to quit.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec with the Patriots, because I know exactly what that feels like. Moving on, though, to a great game for the Colorado Buffaloes. They go into Arizona.
Yes.
And just put the whooping on them. End up winning 34-7.
Caden, once again, Colorado on the road for whatever reason they come to play.
Yeah.
Other than the Nebraska game, but they've looked solid the last few weeks. They had the blunder against Kansas State that we talked about, but this was a great bounce back week for Colorado, and I think this is a big tell and a big confidence booster going to win a highly important game against Cincinnati on Saturday. I'll be there. I'm excited to see what's going to happen and continuing to follow that. But hey, got Travis Hunter some needed rest that second half. Going up, the way they did that and ran the football over 120 yards rushing again for the Buffaloes. When they run the football and have success, this team is scary.
You've been harking on it all season. I mentioned a little bit. But this Buffs defense is legit.
Yeah.
They've played really well, especially, early this season, you really would only see it in the second half. It seemed like they were starting slow.
They did. Start off slow the first couple weeks.
But especially this game was a full, just sound game out of that defense. Holding that Arizona offense to only 7 points isn't an easy task by any means. And they were able to do that. And they weren't really in trouble for any parts of the game.
No.
So, Arizona's offense wasn't threatening, except for their one touchdown drive.
When Colorado came out of the game and scored early,
right away,
it was their game from the start. From that play, Caden, the momentum they had, they grabbed them from the game and they didn't let it go. It's about time, because we've seen this with Colorado. They can start hot and then they'll teeter.
Yep,
at least early on, especially last year. This team is not the same team. They're improved and they're getting better each and every week.
That's very true. Now, though, the most disappointing game of the weekend. The one you and me were so confident in, good old Texas.
Hey, rolled the clip where I said because we thought they were going to win, they're going to lose.
And what did they do? They pulled a Texas.
They pulled a Texas. Right whenever we put all our eggs in the Texas basket, right when we put them up on the pedestal, they do what I said they were going to do, Cade. Sweep the rug out from under us and lay a duck.
Yeah, the supposed, top offensive line in the country got dominated the entire football game.
Yes. And people are going to talk about Quinn Ewers didn't play well. That is not on Quinn Ewers' fault.
I would agree.
And you could look at even when Arch Manning came into the game. They look the same because when you have no time and Walker is coming right after you every other snap. Speaking of which, talk about a phenom of a player, by the way.
Oh, he's going to be
just
good.
Hunting down the football. But that was just part of the reason why Texas couldn't get anything going. And I did not like the play calling either, Cade.
No, at the start, the defense was playing great. You got the 2 early interceptions, bad interceptions out of Carson Beck. Then you get the ball in offense, either good field position or even just Georgia's driving to get the pick. And you stall. You can't do anything.
Yep.
You try to run the ball. Nope, they're in there. You try to throw the ball. Nope, the defensive line's in there. And then, especially after that first pick, I think, or second pick, whatever one it was, where there's down by the goal line. It's the third down. You try to run the ball, whatever, doesn't work. They send a beautifully disguised corner blitz. Looked like it was going to be press man on the outside. Kills Quinn Ewers, strip sack, fumble, and that led to that opening touchdown. And the one thing we do need to talk about, though, is how Texas conned the refs.
Oh, my God.
At the start, it was an
atrocious call.
It was an atrocious call at the start. I don't know how you call it. If anything, that's OPI.
I was watching that game with about 10 other college football players in a room. All 11 of us were about to throw trash at the TV because that was the most ridiculous. It was fantastic coverage. They were explaining to me, the DBs, that they're taught at 7 to 10 yards to catch. That's what the technique is for the DBs to basically absorb that contact, and that was almost dang near offensive.
Exactly,
straight up trying to push him at the top of the route. But great play recognition by the Texas defensive back, and the right call ultimately was made.
Yeah, after the Texas fans threw beer cans all over the field, some ref with balls of steel came and be like, "Hey," it was like, "Hey, I don't think that was DPI.
Yeah.
I think they should get the pick.
And I don't understand how a delay game penalty wasn't given on Texas. And it was funny because you see one can drop. The camera pans.
And they're all buckling in.
It only takes one. It's so interesting to see. But yeah, Georgia with a statement win.
Well,
college football's all out of whack right now.
Yeah, back to that. Yeah, Texas gets the touchdown, makes it. I still don't know why they didn't go for 2 on that one. They kicked the extra point.
They should have.
But either way, it's an 8-point game. 3rd and 9. Back in the run, you think this is perfect. The momentum is shifting right in Texas' favor. All they need is a stop right here. And they leave a dude wide open about 20 yards down the field for big game. Georgia goes down, scores a tutty. I mean, it's basically ball game from there.
And let's give praise to Kirby Smart. For whatever reason, when push comes to shove, it's in the spotlight. He steps up, and his teams are ready to play. Other than the Bama game this year. But his team has been ready to play.
Yeah, you're right, though. College football is all out of whack. SEC doesn't have an undefeated team remaining. The only undefeated teams ever remaining are in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Like, you have your Oregon, who's now ranked
the Big
1.
12 as well.
Actually, yeah. You got Iowa State, BYU, but the good ones.
Yeah, the notable.
You have Oregon. You
Indiana.
Penn State, who I still don't think is that good. You have Indiana, who their offense looks really legit.
Indiana's legit.
Their offense looks legit.
Yep.
Then the Cougars in the Big 12, I like BYU a lot more than Iowa State.
I agree.
I think the Cougars could really make a playoff push, especially, when that Big 12 get that bye, they could be a scary team to look out for.
Caden, there is going to be a lot of exciting football when this season starts to wind down.
This latter half is going to be
the latter
amazing.
half. So buckle in your seatbelts, get ready for the ride because we're about to take off. Transitioning over to NFL. The first time in a while, I personally haven't been able to catch live NFL action. I have to do the recap. But Caden, take us into that first game.
Yeah, so we'll start with that London game.
Yep.
And you were just talking about how you feel defeated when all they do is just run the ball play after play, and somehow they don't know how to tackle. Tank Bigsby. Jaguars. So I started the third quarter. Patriots go 3 and out.
Yep.
Jaguars in that drive had an 11.5-minute drive that ended in a field goal. And then going into that drive and after, 17 straight offensive plays were runs. And maybe only 2 or 3 of them didn't gain at least 3 yards.
And it's pretty awesome because that just goes to show you Trevor Lawrence is really not good.
Oh, yeah. Trevor Lawrence didn't do anything in that game. He threw for like 180 yards and I think 1 touchdown. Yeah. Drake May, though, I'm glad he played well. Threw for 272, had the 2 tutties, no turnovers this game. The O-line is still so bad. They gave up, I think it was 6 sacks to that Jackson. Trayvon Walker was eating the entire day.
Now, Caden.
And hold on. Drake May was our leading rusher again. Ramondre had 7 carries for 18 yards against an awful Jacksonville defense.
That's on coaching.
That is awful. That just can't happen.
Most definitely, Caden. But hey, let's talk about the fact that, one, all you really care about for the rest of the season is Drake May.
Drake May's development. And Jalen Polk needs to stop sucking, learn how to catch the ball, get out of his own head, and remember that he was a second-round pick and know how to play football.
And let's mention the fact that he did throw up the peace sign and was very upset on his IG story after Gerard Mayo critiqued him in the press conference. So there may be some trouble brewing in New England.
Jalen Polk has not done anything of value at all this year. And he's your rookie, second-round pick, wide receiver, who was amazing at Washington last year. And he hasn't done anything the entire year.
Well, Caden, that's, I think, plenty of...
And Gerard Mayo calling the defense soft, that's a good thing to say. They played like... They played like diapers. They played like a little baby diaper, They're just letting everyone run through them. They're able to pass the ball with these. They were the number 1 rated run defense last year. And now they're letting Tank Bigsby go for 130 and 2 touchdowns.
It was definitely a disappointing loss. And they didn't cover the spread.
No,
we said they were new.
No, they didn't.
So that was a loss.
After starting off with a 10-0 lead. Oh, yeah, and they let us 97-yard punt return touchdown.
Take us into the next game before you jump out of your seat.
This next game was a really good football game. One of the best games we saw in all of the slate on Sunday. It was that Lions-Vikings game. Vikings, undefeated no more. So one of the games you and me were separate on. Lions go ahead and they win 31-29 on a game-winning field goal.
Caden, this game was a shootout. We mentioned the fact that going in, the Lions were starting to pick up their offense,
Yep.
starting to hit their stride, and you hit the nail right on the head. The Lions came in, their offense did their thing, and when defense needed to hold the Vikings, they did.
Yep.
All right, as much points as they did let up, let's give them credit when they
One
needed.
of them was a defensive touchdown
yes,
for the Vikings.
exactly. Yep. Two. So give credit there to Detroit. Another solid team win, and they got momentum in that NFC North now, Caden.
Yeah, and Jahmyr Gibbs easily had his best game of the season so far. 2 touchdowns. He was looking great, looking fresh. Able to run the ball through all the holes, looked really good. And yeah, I mean, it was a great football game between what should, I mean, as of right now, it looks like the top 2 teams in that NFC North. The Packers are, as of right now, I'd say a little behind them.
Yeah, there are.
But it was a great game all around. Vikings had that late fumble 6 that got them the lead. They got the field goal. They were up at the time 29-28.
Yeah.
Then the Lions, though, were able to just go right down the field, get into field goal range, take a couple knees, and get the game-winning field goal.
Locked it up, and solid win for sure.
Hey.
Now.
This next game, though, you and me were both right about this one. We told you the wrong team was favored.
Yes.
I said the Chiefs were going to win by a touchdown.
Yes.
What do? They win 28-18. Brock Purdy played easily his worst game of the season.
Caden.
I mean, Mahomes didn't play good either, but Kareem Hunt was able to run the ball really well.
Yes.
The defense really stepped up.
Brock Purdy needs to fix some stuff.
Yeah.
Needs to reevaluate. Whatever it is, need to go back, regroup. I think the 49ers are confused about their identity right now. This team just doesn't seem like they understand what they want to do. Sometimes they want to be run dominant. Sometimes they're trying to pass too much. They can't find consistency within that offense. And that is what's tarnishing them right now, Caden. Another tough loss for the Niners, but I'm not surprised. We said this is what was going to happen. Andy Reid has Kyle Shanahan's number.
Yeah. It sucks, though, to see. I mean, Debo barely played in that game. And then Ayuk, a brutal torn ACL out for the year. That's a big blow for the Niners. They're, before this year, he was their number 1 receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't done anything at all this year. But he's still a really good wide receiver. Now, he tore his ACL. He's now out for the year. So you have to rely more on, like, Jawan Jennings and stuff to try to step up and fill that role.
It was a tough defeat.
Now, though, going on to our primetime games. Maybe all Russ had to do was leave Denver to look good again.
Yeah, all right.
Steelers go out win 30-15 over the Jets.
Now, here's what's going to happen. Russ plays all right, and now everyone's going to hop on the, Russ is going to be, this, and Russ is going to be that, and he's better, and he was bad on the Broncos. Just give it time.
No, I know.
In a couple weeks.
I know. I agree with you. I just want to point out, because Russ threw for 2 tutties, ran for 1, no turnovers. He played a really solid football game.
He took care of the ball. And we will give credit because at the end of the day, that's a tough Jets defense, Caden. Yeah. Really tough Jets defense. And for us to not have started those games and come in and do that serviceable, we were talking bad about the guy. We said the Jets were going to win. That was one we got wrong.
Okay. So are the Jets just a bad football team?
Yes.
I think the Jets just might be bad.
Well, and then they got rid of Robert Saleh, so there goes your whole defensive mastermind right there. So I think that's
probably part of it
for the defense being so bad now. And then that offense
couldn't do anything.
Can't do anything.
I know the Steelers have a good defense. We'll see. Given another week of Devontae at practice, then we'll see how they fare this next week.
But with how tough that AFC
and they're
is,
2-5
the Jets are
now.
falling down.
They need to start winning and winning quick if they still want to be able to make the playoffs.
It's going to be a long shot, Caden.
It's a very long shot.
Very long shot. Now, Monday Night Football.
Doubleheader.
The first one we got right.
Hey, this first one was an absolute shootout. The Ravens beat the Bucs 41-31, and the Bucs now might be down their 2 wide receivers for at least a couple weeks. Mike Evans, hamstring. He'll probably miss at least a week, if not more. I mean, it looked bad. He was grabbing it bad, so it might even be 3-4. He might even get nicer.
And those hamstring injuries linger, kid.
And Godwin at the end of the game, his knee might be blown. He might be out for the year.
Lower leg injury for Godwin. As of the recording of this podcast, there is still no update or news on him. So we are hoping and wishing well for both of those gentlemen that they could heal up and come. But the Ravens were dominating this game.
Dude,
they kept it out of reach. Tampa Bay, I give credit to Baker Mayfield. They kept trying. They kept trying to keep up with the Ravens, but the Ravens held a comfortable and 2-score separation out from Tampa Bay and got the cover that we said they would.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 picks early in the first half by Marlon Humphrey were huge. One was in the end zone, another one was the drive right after that.
Yep.
Which is great. Not only did Derrick Henry rush for 170 yards, he also had a receiving touch, but Lamar threw for 5 tutties and no turnovers. He might be, we saw the stats. He's now thrown for the most touchdowns ever on Monday Night Football without an interception. Like, is he just like the best Monday night player ever?
Caden, he must be. And let's talk about how the fact that Derrick Henry is doing this damage with such little volume in terms of his touches.
He had 2 80-yard runs tonight.
And it's crazy because he just cracks, and that third, fourth quarter comes, that monster gets turning. And we've talked about it before, but the way that guy moves, Caden, for being as big as he is, should not be right.
No, he's a giant human being. And he just somehow is running past every single person down the sideline.
What a thumper, what a player. The Ravens, if they can keep figuring it out and getting better, are going to be, this could be their year.
This could be their year. We'll see how that means. We'll see how Lamar performs
exactly.
in the playoffs.
And, and that wide receiving core is going to need to be locked in.
Locked in, for sure. Zay Flowers is starting to look a lot better, though, as in these last couple weeks. Getting the ball more. Volume's going up, and he's catching it and looking a lot more like we expected him to at the start of the year.
Yep.
Now they're going into the other Monday night game. A little bit of a snooze fest, I'd say.
It was a lower scoring game. Kind of
like we said, yeah. Cardinals end up getting the win 17-15. I end up winning that pick. Mex takes the loss.
And it was a very close game. That one towards the end could have went either side.
Yep.
Ultimately, Kyler Murray in the end and James Conner, who had a very great
night. He had a very good game, yes.
Kind of put the team on his back there, and Kyler Murray had that big rushing touchdown. But when they needed to go down and get the points, they did that successfully, and the Cardinals put together another win.
And bummy Chad Ryland hit the game-winning field goal. Hey, he got his Drake May, so I'm happy for him for that. But I'll say, good for you, Chad. In this week, we both actually ended up with our split picks going 6-5 overall. Yeah. You dominated college football. I was okay. I ended up doing better than you in NFL. And we both ended up going 6-5.
Yeah, struggled with my NFL picks this week, Caden. It was a little bit of an off week NFL wise, but once again, I've been nailing it with the college football, especially the Big 12, by the way.
Oh yeah.
So it was a great weekend of football, Caden. Be sure, guys, to be on the lookout later on this week. We're gonna have another UFC episode, an MLB episode, and of course, as always, our football predictions. Caden, any last words?
Yeah, big weekend coming up, so make sure you have the post notifications turned on. Subscribe to the YouTube channels. Follow us on Spotify. Yeah, we got the World Series starting Friday night. We got UFC 308 on Saturday afternoon. And then, big weekend, college. A lot of ranked matchup. Another big week in the NFL. Should be a great weekend of sports and a great weekend that just happened.
Most definitely. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you all next time.